Hi everyone, and welcome to our meetup. We are Tunis R user group. We had a very good question. Why Tunis R user group? When we started, we were like three co-founders. Muna Belaid, business intelligence consultant, Amal Tlili, data science engineer, and myself. I'm a bioinformatician and data analyst. So when we started, the three of us were based in Tunisia, Tunis. And what we wanted is to provide a friendly support network for our enthusiasts in Tunisia and worldwide. So the three of us, we are women who love programming with R, and we wanted to share this expertise in Tunis and worldwide, in whole Tunisia. Then, it's like the community start growing, and we want now, it's like really to give the opportunity to people like us coming from low-income countries to learn with us in a very nice environment. Karim, please, can you unmute yourself? So, Amal Boukteb, who will be joining soon, and myself, who will be, we are the co-organizer of the Bioinformatics events. So we will be your host today. So we will be hosting this session, answering to the questions, and please don't hesitate to let us know whenever you have any issue with the code, with the GitHub, whatever issue you have. So yeah, please don't hesitate in the chat to send us like a message, or yeah, whenever you have an issue. And then, our code of conduct. So we want really a respectful, harassment-free community for everyone. So let's keep this place a welcoming and friendly community for everyone. So we really do not tolerate harassment, bullying of any community member in any form. As we said, so it's like in our YouTube channel, you will find all our like the meetup we had previously, and you will find like after 1 week or two, it's like this workshop. We record all our workshops for you, it's like, and for the people that can't join to enjoy them, after that. Today, we have the pleasure to have with us Professor Stephen Gee, so who is who will be showing us how to use, ChatGPT for bioinformatic analysis and Chatlize. Here we have it's like all our social media, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, GitHub, Meetup, and Instagram. So thank you, Stephen, for accepting our invitation. Today. Sorry, there's a typo. So Stephen is a professor at South Dakota University, Department of Mathematics and Statistics. He's teaching and research focus on bioinformatics, artificial intelligence, and data science. He developed very useful shiny apps such as RTutor, as well as iDeep, and RTutor actually got lots of, it's like, even when I saw, it's like RTutor, I was really like, it was amazing, I was really amazed because how, you could like, tell what you want, and then you get like data visualization with the Argot. So for me at that time, I didn't know anything about ChatGPT, and I was like, okay, so how to let people who don't know anything about coding, who don't really have like coding knowledge, it's like to get a very nice data visualization for their work. So that's why today we will be learning about all the plots that are needed. You know, it's like when conducting bioinformatic research work, and we will enjoy this session with our expert. So thank you, Stephen, for being our expert today, and the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Nadia and Amal, for inviting me. I greatly appreciate this opportunity. First of all, there is a GitHub.
Sorry, Stephen, can you, it's like the sound is really low. Can you say?
My sound is low?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. My sound is low. All right. So is it better now?
Not really.
Not
Is
really?
there any way yet to increase it even more?
Oh, you know, from my end, okay.
Okay.
Help?
They are saying that yeah, it's good for them. So it's good. So
right.
It's my sound that has issues. Sorry about that.
Okay. First of all, thank you for the invitation. I was surprised so many people signed up and showed up, actually. The first thing that I want to see is that there is a GitHub repository that I set up just for this today's session. Here, I would encourage you before you started to, I'll send this in the chat one more time so that everybody have this in the Zoom meeting. So in here, what I would encourage you to do is to come here and download a zip file. So you can see the zip file is downloaded. So I then go find the zip file. So my file is here. So download file, and so this is and then I unzip this file into a folder. You should have if you unzip this file, you should see the a few files that I have posted in here. I think is, yeah. So unzip, cancel. So I think the file, there's a few files. Yes, sure. You can see these are the free files that we're going to use. You don't really need all of them, but so there's a data file. Okay. Again, if you join me late, go to the GitHub page, go to code, download zip file, and unzip that file to a folder. Okay. So we'll not use that file right away, but we might later on. Okay. If you have any question during the presentation, during our workshop, make sure you ask organizers, and they will try to help. I was surprised that I see so many people sign up. I never talked to this many people on Zoom before. I was expecting 20, 30, or 50, but we have so many of you. So thank you for joining me today. So why my plan today is to try to talk less, but let's do things together a little bit more. Okay. So I want to show you a few demos very quickly. And then we all go to our coding session, our activity session. I want to start with talk about some of the general things I found useful when to remember when you code for when you use ChatGPT for coding. And throughout this section, we'll do some activities. I don't know how many of these activities we can go through, but on the last one, the D6.2, this is a large one. I have a prompt, so we're going to have time to finish all this. But my goal is not to teach you how to do a heat map or PCA. My goal instead is trying to show you how we can effectively write in code with the help of ChatGPT. Okay, so that's the goal. And lastly, I want to explain the machine learning tools and techniques of ChatGPT. I put this in the last, not because it's not important. I'm just so afraid that if I start talking about this, I will not stop until 5 o'clock today. So I know you guys don't have that many times, so I'll put that in the last session. So I try to encourage activity. So I hope you will have a web browser. We're going to try Google Bard and Bing Chat as well. And also you have a ChatGPT account open, okay? On top of that, probably the most time consuming is these files. And also you have an RStudio open. So to use RStudio, you can have a locally installed RStudio, like what I have here. Alternatively, you could go to rstudio.cloud. So I logged in already, so I log out. So what you can do here is that you can see POSIT.cloud. Go there, and this is RStudio in the cloud. And then you log in or sign up. The sign up process is very easy. All they need is an email address. Okay, I just log in. And once you log in, one thing I have a lot of camps. I was doing a summer camp for high school student coding with ChatGPT last week. So I have a lot of the camp here. So I will encourage you to click on start a new project, new RStudio project. And then we have a RStudio environment. Okay, we have our RStudio environment. So again, either RStudio in locally, or RStudio on the this is RStudio on POSIT.cloud. Okay, so this is what I recommend you do. So because what we're going to do is we are going to go to ChatGPT, ask for code, and call back to RStudio and try it a few times. Okay. So if you have a question, make sure you ask organizers throughout the are you guys hearing echoes in my voice or anything? Okay. All right, so let's get started. So again, open up RStudio and download these files from GitHub, download and zip. Okay, and okay, very good, thank you. So let's get started. So again, so I'm going to talk a little bit before I start the demo. I'm going to start with a very short story. This is 1984, 85. I was in high school. In high school, I just really hated learning history. The Chinese history is long and complicated, and you have to memorize a lot of stuff. But you have to be examined on this stuff, right? So I like things that are more organized, like math or physics. They have rules, so you don't have to memorize facts. But one day, this picture on my history textbook just caught my attention. So this picture on the Chinese textbook was a 12th century Chinese print they found on a tombstone. So you can see it depicts a farmer using an ox plow. So this is the ox, this is a plow, so you can see, are doing farming. It just struck me that at that time, 1985, 84, the farmers in my village are still doing the same thing, almost exact the same thing. So So the plow is the same, the way that they harness the ox the same. So I was so struck, meaning that, okay, this farming technology haven't changed in the last 1,000 years. How come? So there's nothing changed in 1,000 years almost, you know. I'm sure today, if you go back to China, they're using drones and all the other stuff. So you could have a technology that goes thousands of years without changing anything. And then in the last 30, 40 years, go from this to the most advanced GPS guided drone that even grandma can use. So the human innovation and technological progress, guys, doesn't come in a linear fashion. It can go thousands of years without changing. Then all of a sudden, just like that, you know, things are different, okay? At the end of last year, 2020, when ChatGPT came out, I think is another moment that technology have leaped forward. So we are doing a lot of mental labor for thousands of years. Now all of a sudden there's ChatGPT. So I hope there's one thing you can come home realizing today is that with ChatGPT, the world is different. Okay, the world is different. About 300 years ago, up to 300 years ago, you know, with this technology, you can see humans harness the power of animals, right? About 300 years ago, there's another innovation. Humans harnessed the power of steam engines, okay, the internal combustion engines that started the Industrial Revolution. So a lot of human labor is saved from that. I think now, 2022 and 2023, with ChatGPT, these artificial intelligence agents liberated humans in terms of mental labor. When I comes mental labor, I mean remembering all the coding details, all the syntax, you know, all the facts, hard, boring, repetitive stuff, and thus, you know, we don't have to do the anime because we have AI. Okay, so I hope you can get my message from this short story. Now, let me get to my demo. I have a few demos. So the first one is RStudio. I don't know how many of you can come join me, but RStudio is really straightforward. Yeah. RStudio is fairly straightforward. So you have a file, you for example, you upload a file. You upload a file here. Once you upload a file, you select, you know, all these column numbers or factors. It try to guess what column it is. For example, because in R, some columns looks like numbers, but actually they are factors because there are only 1 or 2. For example, this is died. Whether it's 1 is not died, 2 is died, 0 or 1. Okay, 0 or 1. And sex, for example, is so 1 is for female, 2 is for male. So to distinguish whether it is more appropriate to treat this as a number or as a category, trying to think of, does it make sense to add or subtract all these numbers? Obviously, it doesn't make sense to subtract it. So you can also always change. But once you upload the data, and then you can just ask questions. You can see, you can type, you can type your, you can type just a very quick question, okay? And ChatGPT will go around and give you code and run this, okay? And run this. Obviously, you can make it more complex. Okay? You can make it more complex, and sometimes obviously it gets errors. Okay, it gets errors. I think density plot of age by sex, okay, for example, and then that will give you I'm just having so much trouble here. Okay. That one. So I'll use some example plot in here. So for example, I use some example data here. Probably we have so many people accessing it. You can see you have code right away. Okay. In here, one of the things you can do now with the new version is that you could make this into interactive version. Just click on this. You can see you can zoom in and zoom out. Okay? You can zoom in, zoom out. You can also try the Canvas Express, which is fantastic too. You can zoom in, zoom out, and also give you code from here. Okay, you can zoom in, zoom out, give you code from here. Another thing you could do in here is because it's ChatGPT, you can just modify this graph. You can see I want to remove the grid lines. Okay, you can remove the grid lines. So ChatGPT will then go ahead and remove the gray lines, you can see, okay? Or you can see change the background to white, and instead of a gray background, change that into that, okay? So you can see you can gradually working on your graph to make it better, and obviously you can render a plot from here. You can generate a plot from here that as HTML. Okay, so that's you can have R Markdown, for example. This is the original version. This is without grid line. You have all the code that you have here. So you can essentially you can do some of those statistical homework in just a few minutes. Okay, so we also have some automated exploratory data analysis tools in here as well. Okay, this is just enables you to explore the data, learn more about the data, just as a table, or as a graphics in here. So these are automatically generated for you. Okay, so this is RStudio. RStudio was released about last December. Okay, the goal for RStudio is to enable everybody without coding skills to talk with their data. So the goal is to just chat with your data. So that's the goal. It has some limitations, obviously. You can only upload one set of data. The data has to be rows and columns. Okay, rows and columns. As you also see that sometimes you get errors, and you have to try it over and over again. So this is a new website I created very recently called Chatlize. Chatlize got a big step forward. So one thing with Chatlize you can do is that, for example, you can upload multiple files. You can upload multiple files. I'm going to use these built-in files. Okay, so it's Chatlize instead of analyze. I use Chatlize. You can see you can have your prompts in here, but you can try that's 2 times or 3 times. So I'm going to add the prompt. The prompt is here. I submit. Once I submit, so the first step, for example, I read the file and show the first few rows, and I describe the data. For example, this is important, guys. I'm going to come back to this. Here on this sentence, in this sentence, I'm describing the column names. Okay, these are column names. These are the numbers, and these are the categorical columns. So I think for each chunk, I have 3 solutions. Okay, in this particular case, all 3 solutions give us the same answer. So it doesn't really matter because this is simple. Okay, and you can see we choose the first one. We go forward. Okay, and so you can keep typing here. For example, create. You can see plot the numeric, now we are starting to get a little bit harder to plot the distribution of all numerical variables. We submit. If you hit submit, so this prompt will be sent to ChatGPT to generate 3 versions of code. Okay, if one of them doesn't work, that's fine. So we got 3 varieties of solutions in here, and all 3 of chunk of code will be run right away and will be shown here. Okay, as you can see, so this is the first solution, histogram. Second solution using ggplot2. Okay, and the third solution probably going to be same, ggplot2. So if you like ggplot2, you can choose the second one. You finalize, you move ahead. Okay, so this is a tool where you can do very complex problems. You can go step by step by step. Okay, another feature that you can do with Chatlize, since there's so many of us that are doing this at the same time, the website might be a little bit slow. Okay, the other thing that's very different from our tutor is that you could ask ChatGPT to write prompts for you. Okay, I'll give you an example here. You want to build a classifier. So let me zoom it in here. So the goal is to build a classifier to predict SP, based on all the variables and use the data in this file, right? So this is very generic and instruction. So, and then I'm going to describe the data. Instead of using this as a prompt, guys, this is the key. Instead of using this as a prompt, I'm going to use ChatGPT to develop a plan based on this, okay? So the plan will be returned to us as a set of prompts. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this. Now ChatGPT will take that as a general instruction and then develop a set of prompts. Okay, the server might be down because we have so many people that's doing this, but the idea is that classifier and our generate prompts, generate prompts, and you guys, if I couldn't get this work, you guys can try this later. Okay, so classifier, generate prompts, and then we execute these prompts later on. I will talk about this a little bit more. This is called trade-off thoughts prompting. Okay, trade-off thoughts prompting. Hopefully, so instead of entering prompts directly, the first step is asking ChatGPT to write. Yes, okay. So you can see now ChatGPT take this my general goal and develop 4 or 5 tasks. Let's take a look at the tasks. The first task, let's import the data and check to see the data is imported, right? The second prompt is exploratory data analysis. In that we are looking at the distribution and the correlations, and then we prepare the data. When we prepare the data, we split into training and test set. So this is the detailed plan that ChatGPT give us, right? In the 4th step, we're going to build the model. In the 5th step, we're going to optimize the model and validate the model. This is actually a very decent plan, okay? So obviously, right now, you can start and executing each one of these plans. And the first step is easy, so we're going to finalize here. And then we're going to explore the data analysis here. This is not as specific, but you can see you can come on and do this and explore the data. There's missing value, we can handle that. And that kind of in details, from basic one to summary to plot the distributions is handled in here. So this is a very unique feature for Chatlize, meaning that, as you can see in the second step, in the first version, I have the structure of the data, I have a histogram of all the 4 columns, I have a box plot by species, that's the first version, okay? If I go to the second version, I have box plot first, slightly different, okay? Mostly box plot. So obviously the first version gives us more information, so we're going to finalize using the first version. Now the third step, we are going to develop, split the data into training and test set. So we're going to submit that, and so we are going to split this data, and ChatGPT actually figure out which R package that we are going to use, and then we split the data. So we set seed and we split the data. So this is one method, and the second method is here. Okay, I think usage slightly different packages. Okay, using a different package here. No package is used here. So let's use the first one, and then we can build our classifier now in step 4. We can come on and submit this build classifier. So their methods: logistic regression, decision tree, random forest, key nearest neighbor. There's so many of these methods. All we need to do is pick one. And obviously you can come in and edit this. You can see if you want to use logistic regression, you can delete all this. Okay, you can delete all this and go on from here. So as you can see with Chatlize, you are acknowledging that ChatGPT is not perfect, is error prone. So that's why you ask multiple versions of the code. And secondly, you break down a large task into many different steps. In this, for example, this is complicated. This is, for example, here we have errors in the first solution. Let's see our second solution here. We also have errors. Okay, so we have errors, and we have to. One thing we can do, we can come edit this, and we can just use logistic regression. Okay, logistic regression. And let's try it again to see if if you can make it work in here. For both of our trial failed, so we're gonna. If you have questions, feel free to type in the chat. Okay, I might not have time to. Okay, so we changed it to only using logistic regression, but the first version still failed. For example, we can see from here both of them is not working, so we have to try again. This is very typical of. As you can see, this time we are using a package called Carrot. Okay, ChatGPT using a package called Carrot, and I think there's the error that we're getting is that the predicted variable for the species, we need to set that up as a factor. Okay, so as set up in the factor. So in that case, we are not preparing our data very well. So we need to come back. So in other words, this is very typical. We can't get past the 4th steps. So the problem is the 3rd step. We are not preparing our data very correctly. So we need to come back to set the reference levels for this factor. So we need to do that in the 3rd step. Okay. So you can see things like that. You can see set reference levels. Data preparation. I think we probably better off set reference levels for that. That probably will solve the problem. Okay. So this is so-called trade-off styles prompting, where you go down, and if you have a stack, you go back and change your code from here. Okay, change your code from here. My goal is not to show you this. My goal is to show you that some tasks is very easy, like reading data. Some tasks is kind of complicated. You can try multiple times. Sometimes you need to go back. Okay, you need to go back. You need to go back to your previous steps. Okay. Let's give this one more try and see if that works. Takes time. So we're going to build the model, logistic regression, see if that this works. We're going to move on regardless. All right. We're going to move on regardless of whether we is correct or not.
Stephen, we have a few questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so the first question is, sorry, one moment.
Is regarding RStudio or Chatlize?
Actually, about the Chatlize,
Go
there
ahead.
is a question. I would like to understand the specification between RStudio and Chatlize, or what are each of them adequate for?
Okay, RStudio can only analyze one data set and can only analyze tabular data, okay, this kind of data. Chatlize can analyze multiple data sets and takes any kind of data. It could be DNA sequencing, RNA sequencing, what kind of data. You have to read by yourself, okay? So RStudio is a beginning level. ChatGPT is more complicated, very complex. If you just have one simple data set, use RStudio because that handles a lot of stuff for you. Chatlize is more advanced, handles more complex problems. Very good question. Other questions?
Yes, we have two questions about RStudio. So if I upload the data file to RStudio, does it lose its confidentiality? Then another question, can I use my PC RStudio for the, no, sorry, that's okay.
Well, if you upload RStudio, it's just, it was temporarily stored on my server, which is Amazon AWS. It's not confidential. I can guarantee you that I don't have time to look at other people's data, right? But you don't have 100% guarantee. But the solution for this is that you can run RStudio locally on your local computer, because RStudio is a R package. You just install RStudio. I'm going to send the RStudio GitHub repository. You can go to RStudio GitHub repository and you can download and run RStudio from your RStudio. You can run RStudio from here. Okay, so a lot of people do actually run RStudio locally. You can see a lot of people fork that. All right, other questions, Hidya?
Yes, so can we upload Word files in RStudio?
No, not with Word file. No, you cannot upload Word file to RStudio or Chatlize. You can upload Excel files maybe to Chatlize. Okay. I don't know what you want to do in Word files to analyze Word files. If you want to analyze Word file, Word document, at least the least thing you could do is to save that as a text file. Okay, save that as a text file. Then you can upload text file and analyze text file. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to upload Word file. Word documents, for example, we're going to use this. It doesn't make sense. But you could do is to save as a text file, for example, plain text. Okay, you save a plain text, you save that in downloads, for example, and that Windows default, yeah. And then you can come to downloads, for example, you can see you can see that this, is the text file. So if you want to analyze this, then you want to, you can upload this. Okay. All right. And other questions, Hidya?
Yes. So so if the tasks are edited, is it treated as a brand new prompt, or does ChatGPT remember the previous prompt?
Oh, good question. Very good question. If you ended the prompts in here, it was treated as a brand new prompt. Yeah. So ChatGPT says this new prompt and the previous prompts and the previous results. Very good question. I'm going to touch upon this a little bit later. Very good question. Thank you. Other questions?
So can we use ChatGPT 4 with API key for Chatlize?
Yes, yes. You can use ChatGPT. You can use your own API key for here, and then especially you want to use GPT-4. GPT-4 is so much better in coding. So I will actually encourage you to use GPT-4 for API key, but it costs a little bit more time, more money. Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, is there a restriction in the free Chatlize version?
Restriction?
Yeah, it's like maybe for
Oh,
like
the
yeah.
file size cannot be 20 megabytes. The
Okay.
file, you cannot upload a gigabyte of file. So 20 megabyte, I think. So huge file cannot be handled. Other than that, there's no exceptions. One nice thing about Chatlize, guys, is that you can save your data, you save your code, save your data, save the reports, and especially R data. You can save your R data if let's say you download, and then you're gonna go for lunch or go see a movie with your girlfriend or boyfriend. You can save your R data file, and then tomorrow you can come back, upload the R data file. You can continue on from where you left. Very good question. All right, other questions?
Yes, so is the data uploaded to Chatlize sent to OpenAI?
No, the data is not sent to OpenAI. Also, our tutor as well. Data is not sent to OpenAI. That's why it is pivotal that we describe the data. So tell ChatGPT that this data have this many columns, and these columns numbers, these are column are for example, I have here, right? So the OpenAI doesn't see your data. But if you want to write a code specifically for your data set, you need to describe your data, the column names, the nature of the column, of whether they are numbers or categories or letters. Very good question, guys. Other questions?
Yeah, so many questions actually. It's really good. Is Chatlize open access?
No, for now, Chatlize is not open source. Our tutor is open source. Chatlize is not open source for now, because I have a startup. I'm trying to get some funding for this. If I get some funding, I might open source this. Our tutor is open source. You can install as an R package. Chatlize is not. It might be in the future. Other questions?
Yeah. So can we do data cleaning with our tutor?
What?
Sorry. Can we do data cleaning with our tutor?
Data what? These are in other languages?
Data cleaning.
Oh, yeah. So whatever you do, you can do. I have some examples here, actually. If you go to our tutor, there's, you can do anything. You can also obtain data. For example, data cleaning. I have a data cleaning example here. Where's it? Data cleaning. So you can see this is a very long paragraph. Okay, very long paragraph of data cleaning instructions. So I want to remove everything after this, remove some columns, define a new column. You can submit, and you can do data cleaning. Good question. There's error happened. That's you try again. Okay. Other questions, guys?
Yes. So I think this question is related to bioinformatics. So
Yep.
Can we filter with Chatlize genotyping data for minor allele frequency and missing data?
I haven't tried that, but you could, theoretically, you could. Chatlize is general purpose. You can upload any kind of data, and then you can just talk here and let R find the R package that can handle that. Okay. Chatlize has most of the package installed. Any other questions?
Yes. Can we use more than one data set in Chatlize?
Yes.
And then our tutor in Chatlize can be used for metagenomic data. DNA
Yes.
sequences?
Well, RTutor can only handle rows and column data. Okay, Chatlize can use any type of data as long as you can read it in R. Okay, so Chatlize, you're just using ChatGPT to write code for you. This code can be anything. Okay, this code can be, and it follows step-by-step example like this, and you can also grab data on the go. I think I have some example here. I think I have some example here. For example, you can get plot the stock price of Tesla. You can just then you write a code. The API go grab the data from online. And okay. Other questions before we move ahead?
There's a last question about why RTutor is sorry, one moment. So why do RTutor shows the message disconnected from server again and again and again?
Because there are hundreds of people trying to use the same time. After this workshop, it shouldn't be that bad. The server is fairly small, and the server is struggling because all of us is trying to use RTutor. All right, so that's the question part. And finally, I just want to show you very quickly that for bioinformatics, I have I think Hedy mentioned that I have an app called Adapt. And here you can just analyze the data. And we have a new version, actually. With this new version, what we did was that you can actually click around on this Shiny app. We actually write code for you. We generate reports. For example, you upload RNA sequencing reconst data like this. Obviously, you have a ton of graphical visualizations, and on top of that, we also generate code and a report for you, so you can download the code, download the data, you can run locally, especially for DSig2. So this code, you can see there's a report that generated for you, and all kind of analysis, and also for clustering and PCA. Okay, so that's the demo. All right, so we are going to move on to our second part of the workshop. The second part, we are actually going to start coding with the ChatGPT, and there's a few things I want to mention actually before we start to code. First of all, GPT-4 is much better than GPT 3.5 or ChatGPT. Okay, but GPT-4 is slow and is also very expensive actually. Not very expensive unless you have the subscription. If you have a subscription, you can use it. It's $20 for free. If you use the API, the GPT-4 API is just 20 times more expensive than ChatGPT. Okay. Another thing I think you guys should, I highly recommend, is that Bing Chat is based on GPT-4 and is also free. So to use Bing Chat, I think you have to use Microsoft Edge. So if you go to Bing and Chat, okay. So this is actually, first of all, it uses ChatGPT. Secondly, it supplements ChatGPT with web browsing. So it searches and then look at the search result, okay? And it uses search results and it is also GPT-4. So you have a free GPT-4 that in Bing Chat. Okay, so I highly recommend you try this, and you don't need to log in. Another thing, another tool I will recommend, for example, is Bing Chat. I give you this, but it's still not as good as ChatGPT. Another tool you can try is Google Bard. It's still not as good. It's still not as good as ChatGPT, but you can try. Okay, you can try. So this is the last thing I recommend you try. Before you try this, I think you can see this is the 4. Okay, this is the bars. You can give you code. You can see from here, and the other thing that not many people are talking about is a website called Behind. Okay, I found this to be amazingly helpful, especially when I have a bug or anything that I cannot solve. So this is very helpful. So for example, I want to see that, same question, you can write code, but it's so good at troubleshooting, okay? It's so good at troubleshooting. So that's one thing, what to use, okay? What to use. And another thing that in general that I think most people is not realizing is that ChatGPT is fine, it writes code, but it's not perfect. It has a lot of errors in them, right? And also, if you ask the same question over and over, gives you different answers. Okay, give you different answers. So it's stochastic machine. Okay, stochastic machine. So a good way to do is to treat ChatGPT as a summer intern, a college kid. That a summer intern. That you communicate via email. You can email him or her a request and for him to write code for you. And but you cannot email the code, the data, because the data is confidential. So you have to describe the data. You be as specific as you can as to what you want. Okay, so that image actually helped me very well. It's almost like a person. The more I use ChatGPT, the more I feel like it is a person. Okay, the more I feel like it's a person. And the second thing, that bigger guidelines I found very useful, is that if you want to do something very, very big, start slow, start small. Okay, start small. And also, if you have a big task, divide this into steps. Okay, divide this into steps. And this is also related. Is that you can add, is not one shot, okay? Not one shot. So you ask for code, you test in RStudio, and sometimes you have error code, and typically I just copy the error code, paste right back into ChatGPT, okay? ChatGPT will say, oh, that's the error, and he will go, ChatGPT will fix the error and give you a new version of code. And then you try it again. The new code, after it's running, I sometimes say, hey, can you refine this? Can you change different colors? Can you bring things into different groups, right? So, ChatGPT is very powerful, but it's not perfect, okay? So we have to be very patient in interacting with ChatGPT, okay? So it might not be, all right, so another thing is to remember is to provide enough information, meaning that oftentimes we write one line and we want a whole lot of details, okay? So traditionally, the way that we use, large language models, we typically, the people who train ChatGPT actually provides a few examples. So this is so-called few-shot prompting. So this is a question, this is answer, this is a question, an answer, example answer, and this is a new question, give me the answer. So that is called a few-shot. The way that most people using ChatGPT is called zero-shot, which is don't give you example answers, I just ask a question. Another thing that helped when you trying to code with functions, for example, alignment tools with 1 million parameters, right? Or SAM tools, or Heatmaps, as we later gonna try. you can go, paste the entire manual from the or example code into your prompt, okay? So that will help ChatGPT. I mentioned this before, describe your data. This description have two meaning. Firstly, you describe the general background. So this is a gene expression data. The rows of the gene, the column are samples, okay? Very general. And we are study breast cancer. You can provide that. Sometimes it doesn't help hers, but you could, in general, you can provide general information, and then you can ask very general questions after that, okay? And sometimes I think there's a question regarding, are we sending data to ChatGPT? You could actually copy the first few rows of data and make that part of your prompt, okay? And that sometimes helps ChatGPT. Or if your data set is very small, a few hundred lines, a few dozen lines, you can paste your data entirely and make that into prompt and send to ChatGPT, okay? And then lastly, which is also very important though, sometimes after I using ChatGPT for a long time, I realized that sometimes my questions are stupid. I mean, I'm not asking the wrong question. I'm not asking the right question. Why? Oh, because my knowledge is so limited. ChatGPT knows a lot more. Okay. Sometimes the question asking is not possible. Sometimes I get so you have to be flexible in changing your questions. Okay. This is probably be harder to understand. Okay. This is a little bit harder to understand. So the chat session, the chat history in that session defines the context. The context, context influences the response to your question. Okay, so so you want to be very careful in managing your session. What do I mean by that? So if you ask a totally different question and related to your last questions, start a new session. Okay. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT. I'm going to start. You can see I have so many sections here. Okay. For different things, I just start a different section. For example, I'm asking this here. Okay. I'm doing a Shiny app. If I have a totally different section, totally different question, this is, tell me a joke about statistics. This question have no relationship with this coding question. It's fun, it works, but it's awkward. It's like you are chatting with somebody, talking about our statistics, and all of a sudden you start talking about Taylor Swift. Okay, so because when I ask this question, this response, okay, this is not only depends on this question, but this response depends on all your previous questions and ChatGPT's response. So in other words, this response is a function of all the above, okay? All above, especially if you're having trouble, keep trying this, okay? So this might not be appropriate, guys. So let's see. So if you have a girlfriend, but you keep cheating on her, or things are getting a lot of fights, and every time you try to fix it with her, you're saying, and the girlfriend remembers all the bad things you done in the past. Okay, so you ask a question, you're trying to mend her relationship with her. Sometimes that works, sometimes it didn't work. Okay, the solution is, well, maybe it's never going to work out with that girlfriend. Maybe start try and spend your time. Okay. All right. So that's the section, and then okay. So that's you can ask again. Okay. For example, let me do this. You can ask again, if you're not happy with this, you can regenerate response. I will encourage you to do this, to use the regenerate response. So for example, I regenerated 3 versions of this of this question. Okay, and you can go back and forth this there. When you ask the next question, for example, here's a joke about statistics. I have a typo here, so you can ask follow-up questions. About the follow-up of this question, okay? And you can also come here, edit this. Edit this question. You can edit this question, okay? So in that sense, let's do this. Let's do this now. I'm going to start a new chat session. If you guys follow me, let's do this together. Okay. So this is our first activity. Explain. So my prompt is very simple. I want ChatGPT to explain the hierarchical clustering algorithm. Okay. So as you can see from here, so this is the prompt, and voice is kind of slow. And then later on, we're going to get a few versions of this, and then we are going to okay, so here we go. So this is the explanation of hierarchical clustering algorithm. And you can see this is very detailed, right? And it's still going. So this is the second version. The first version didn't work. I mean, we can regenerate another response out of this. So I have 3 versions. If you look at, they are going to be slightly different. Okay, slightly different. Okay, slightly different. And now what I want to do is that I want you to come in and edit this. Okay. I have a typo here again. And so I want to see explain the hierarchical clustering algorithm in plain English, so that a middle school student can understand. So in this, we are being very specific. Okay, we are going to. I want it in plain language, and so that a middle school student can understand. You can see that in this language, they're talking about a group of animals. How similar they are. The language is much plain, whereas the first version, if you edit it, I think the first version is gone, but we can regenerate this. Okay, okay, you can see there's a lot of technical language to this. Okay, technical language to this. Okay, so I think at this time, I think what I can do is that in this time, what I can tell you is that with ChatGPT, session, okay, you ask your initial question. Okay, you can use your regenerate function. You can ask initial question, you can ask a regenerate function. You have 3 or 4 versions. Okay, this is especially helpful when your problem is very complex. Okay, you have a version A, version B, version C. Okay, and then if you like version B, you can go, to the first prompt, the second prompt. You can come here. You have a solution in here. Typically, if a problem is complex, you can, you can go from here as well. Okay, you can go from here. Okay, and obviously, if you like this, you can go 3 times. And now, by the time you ask this question, for example, the ChatGPT's response depends on the chat history defined by this path. Okay, so this path defines the context. Okay, so essentially, when you send this ChatGPT to this question to ChatGPT, these are sent back. All of these prompts are response are so it's very important you manage the context. Okay, it's very important you manage the context, and which will give you a response. Okay. All right, so this is more advanced. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this okay. So hold on. Yep.
Yeah, Stephen, can we move to like hands-on like demos, like about the bioinformatic examples?
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on to hands-on examples. So we are going to do heat map first. Okay. So other prompting strategies is including input and output, right? Chain of thought. Instead of asking question, ask for an answer. You provide example. This is a few shot example, and I'm going to come back to this a little bit later. This is a train of thought example. So let's do this. Okay, we did this already. This is the activity, the first activity. Okay, so we did this activity. So I want to explain the hierarchical clustering algorithm. We are going to explain in plain English. Okay, so our first hands-on activity is that let's ask ChatGPT for the popular R packages for heat maps. Okay, so these are the prompts that we're going to try one by one. So you can see the difference in here. So obviously, if you want, you can start a new chat here. So if you have GPT-4, feel free to use GPT-4. And if you don't have a free version, you have not a whole lot, not okay. So the first thing is this one. So in order to start a heat map, let's do let's investigate what packages are there. Okay, so what are the popular R packages for creating heat maps? So there's our options, right? So 1, 2. The heatmap.2, which is very popular, but it's a little bit old, and pHeatmap and complex heatmap. Also, you can do this in heatmap ggplot2. Okay, I mean, you can regenerate, but this is fairly good answer. Okay, very good answer. One thing you could do though is to ask slightly different questions. The second question they're asking is, what are different methods for creating heat maps? And you can see that this is slightly different in the sense that we are asking for different methods. Okay, different methods. I'm getting sort of similar methods. In base R, there's heatmap function, and the packages, you have these three, and you have ggplot2 complex heatmap, okay, and p heatmap and heatmaply. So this is new, okay, this is new. And the last question we can ask is slightly different. So we want to have a hierarchical clustering tree. So this is a little bit more specific. So I'm going to ask again, what are the different methods for creating heat maps in R? Okay, in R with, I want a heat map, not only heat map, I want to be hierarchical clustering tree. Okay, so that ruled out, heat map itself in R can do that, but okay. You can see right now, I mean, this is very nice. I mean, they provided some example code, but this is not really, we don't want code for now, but it go ahead and provided us with the code, okay? With the code. As you can see, I have used this back and forth arrow package in here. You can see I have 3 different questions, 3 different answers. Use this and pick one you like the best to move ahead, okay, to move ahead. In this situation, I think it doesn't matter. So we are actually going to use the heatmap point 2 here, okay, heatmap point 2 here. So are you guys with me so far on the on this chat? If you don't have ChatGPT, feel free to use Bing Chat or Bard, okay. Feel free to use Bing Chat or Bard. So, okay. All right, so the next one that we are going to do is to be very specific, okay? We know that we're going to decide going to use heatmap point 2. We're going to use the ARIS data set, okay? So this is the prompt. Go ahead.
So there are some people that saying that there are like 2 speakers.
2 speakers?
Yeah. So please, can you put in the chat if you hear only 1 speaker or 2 speakers? Thank you.
Can you hear it now still?
Okay, most of them are saying 1, so we'll move on.
Okay, all right, good. Some of you probably have have a microphone on, right? All right, so this time the prompt is a little bit more specific, okay? As you can see, what we want to do is that we want to create R code. We want to be very specific, run R code to create a heat map using heatmap point 2 and the ARIS data set, okay? So let's come to ChatGPT or Bing Chat. I mean, this is the simple problem you should be able to handle. So we are going to continue on this session because this is all related, right? So we're going to type in here. We requesting R code to create a heat map that using the heatmap point 2 and the ARIS data set. So this is a very specific question and very, very specific instruction for code. So I still recommend that you take a look at this code before you just took it run. And I still recommend you generate a few versions of the code before you run, okay? So you can take a quick look at the at this and to see if, in this case, they're all the same, looks like, okay? So after you have this, and all we should be doing is that we come to RStudio either locally or on the posted.com so that we have we can try this code. Okay, we can try this code. So as I mentioned before, as mentioned in this slide, you need to take a look at the code install packages. And if you want to, if you don't have the packages, so I will start a script here. I will start a script here and paste the script in, paste the script I get from ChatGPT. I copy the code, paste the script in here. As you can see, it needs the G+ package. So I'll come here, packages, install, packages install, G+ package, and I just install. So the package is installed. Okay. So again, I come to ChatGPT, copy this piece of code, come to post.cloud, used to be called RStudio.cloud, or you can just come to RStudio, local RStudio, paste the code. Okay, paste the code in local machines, the same thing. You have to install your packages either way. Okay, but I will use this. Okay, I will just use this. And then the next thing is you can hit run. So you know, if there's error message, you know, I got, you know, a plot like this. This is not what I wanted. This is correlation matrix. I wanted original data. Okay, but anyway, so at least we got a version that's working. Okay, got the version that's working. So I'm gonna wait a little bit here so that you guys, any questions so far? So the sequence is that we go to ChatGPT, we ask it to write our code to create a heat map. Using the Heatmap.2, okay, and this might not be a very good prompt, but we're going to handle that a little bit later. So, and I have code, I copy this code, I paste in RStudio.cloud, post.cloud, I install the package. So package is installed here, install, and then I just select everything. I run this code, okay? Just keep installing. We don't really need to install this package. We already installed it, okay? So I'm just going to comment out on that. So we can just select this and run, okay? All right, I think there's something wrong with this figure, too big, sometimes too small. So we need to do that. And you select all, and run. And we have a graph that showed up here. If you can zoom in, that's a zoom in version of this, okay? Zoom in version of this. All right, so there's something, you know, they give me a correlation matrix, which is not I wanted. So what I want to do here is that I'm going to come back to edit this prompt. So obviously you can go on with this. I much prefer to edit this this prompt in here. Okay, using average data set, create a heat map. Use the of the average data set, use the heatmap.to function. Okay, use the heatmap.to function. So hopefully this will give us a slightly different version of the code. Okay. Oh, that's weird. And what I want to do is that if heat map off, with heat map, zero submit. I don't want the, wow, okay. So it keeps giving me the correlation matrix. So I think, so in this case, we can fix this by asking a follow-up question. So I do not want correlation map. I want to realize the itself. Okay. So as you can see, this is a follow-up question. This is a follow-up question that I ask because we are going to the wrong direction. Okay, so give me the code. This time is correct, I think. Give me a code with first 4 columns, and convert it into matrix, and then run. So I'm going to copy this code and come back to RStudio. I'm going to start a new R script, paste here. I'm going to select all. I'm not going to install because I already installed. Okay, I'm going to select all the scripts here. I'm going to run. Okay, so this is what I got. This is what I got from here. Okay, this is what I got from here. Now, as we mentioned before, this is the things it's best to do step by step. Okay, this is obviously we want some trees here and there. Okay, and but more importantly, there's a problem in these numbers. You can see the one column is red. The numbers goes from small numbers to big numbers. So the absolute values in each column doesn't really matter. Okay, what matters the most is the relative to the mean for each column. So in the next, if you have error, you can copy the error message and paste back. Okay, so in the next activity, what we want to do is that we want to subtract the mean from each column before creating a heat map. So that's what will be our next prompt. So we are going to subtract the mean from each column before creating a heat map. So we're going to bring this back here to ChatGPT, and we are going to, since we are happy with this code, okay, so we're going to ask him in here, we're going to ask it to subtract the mean from each column before creating a heat map. And we got a slightly subtract the means. For example, this is a new line of code. Okay, this is a new line of code, and let's try this piece of code, and we post it. We try this in the posted RStudio. Again, we are going to start a new script. Okay, so still want to install. We're going to skip that. We're going to select everything from here, and we're going to run. This is much better, as you can see. Within each column, we have contrast. This is bigger numbers. This is bigger numbers. This is smaller number because the scale is here, right? Your heat map might be slightly different because ChatGPT gives slightly different answers to you each time, right? And then if you take a quick look at this code, as you can see, traces equals now, key equals true, means this is the key, right? And this is where the difference between BART and ChatGPT comes along. If you BART, oftentimes you have errors because sometimes ChatGPT does as well. Errors data is a data frame, but the heatmap point 2 needs a matrix. So this line is pivotal. So for Google BART, you just keep trying, get error messages. So this is one. let's do 1 or 2 more improvements on this. So one thing I want to do is that let's add a tree to the both in rows, hierarchical classroom tree to the rows and columns, right? So in that yours might already have that, but I don't. So I will add hierarchical trees to columns. Okay, so you can add hierarchical classroom trees to the rows and columns, and so explain the code, and you copy that, and you will then come back to here. So different version, a new script, paste here. I'm going to select everything except install and run. Okay, and run. All right, so you can see now I have these trees here, trees there. That's great. Okay, and these guys are annoying, but you can, you can get rid of them. I think the trees equals false. Obviously you could, for example, on the third version we have this parameter. Okay, you can come back and get rid of that. I mean, yours might be slightly different. So again, so you don't need to follow what I do here. Okay. So now the next thing I want to do, because Error's data set have 5 columns, I want to add a color bar inside to demonstrate and to illustrate what species it belongs to. This is a much challenging problem. Okay, so for our this one activity, we want to add a color bar. Okay, so I want to add a color bar. So I'm going to send this to chat. Send this to the chat so you guys have some. I'm going to send this to chat so you guys have this. You can just copy and paste, right? And so what I want to do is I'll come back here. I will just add a sequence, add a color bar for the rows using the information in the species column. And so we have a new version of code. So this task though is very challenging, meaning that, and sometimes it didn't work. So let's try the first version. So we have to try a few times, I think, for this to work. And now we're going to install. You're going to try this, and yeah, you can see this time this is, this is obviously not what we want. This is incorrect. Okay, this is incorrect. So we have to come back here, use regenerate response. And we can, before we try, I think it's probably we have to copy this code and come back here and try this. Our script. Okay, try this. So as you can see, we have an error message. Finally, I have an error message. Okay, and what do you want to do in this error message? I mean, depends. Okay, if you want to keep fixing this, you can copy this code, copy this error message, and just paste right here. Just paste the error message right here. ChatGPT will apologize. Okay. And give you a new, so you don't even need to explain anything, just paste this. ChatGPT knows that this is the error for that. So you just copy this code and come back to try it again. Okay, come back to try again. And Okay, you still have another error. Okay, you still have another error. So in this case, it might be a good idea to reevaluate, meaning that maybe this code I'm trying to fix this, maybe it's hard to fix. So in other case, I might want to, regenerate a code from here. Okay, I want to, generate, regenerate, response from here. Okay. Now, if you click on regenerate response, it's the last one. I think we need to come back here, add a color bar for the rows using the information. We need to do that. Yeah. So we get the second version of the code, and that's our that's their second version. Okay. In this, I tried yesterday. It took me a few tries to get this correct. This is normal for very complex problems. This normal, and typically you will come in to see if there's something that you can change yourself at this point. Okay, at this point, so you can try this, and you can run. Okay, so I mean, this is still not what we want. Okay, but you can try. If you try a few times, this will work. Okay, all right. So I'll pause here. Any questions so far? Any questions so far?
Yes, actually, we had a few questions from before.
Yeah.
Can we install specific libraries or latest packages to draw plots?
Yes. Yeah.
And then the other one, which is really good. What's the best way to cite Chatlize in our work?
What's the best way to what?
What's the best way to cite Chatlize in our work?
Site. Oh, okay. I mean, I will have a paper soon. For now, you just cite website, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And
other
then,
questions?
can we install desired packages on RTutor which are not available on it by default?
RTutor, for most of our packages, are installed. If you found our package that's not installed on RTutor, send me an email. I will install them.
And
totally,
then
there are 20,000 R packages. Okay, in the world. I mean, I installed 6,000 of the most popular ones. So 95% of the chances the package they want to use is installed. Very good question.
yeah, also this one, that the step-by-step prompt in Chatlize help with reducing the hallucination problem of ChatGPT.
Yes, you can, yeah, that helps a little bit to avoid hallucination. Yes, very good, very good. Other questions?
Does the code for RNA-seq data analysis work for all species?
Yes. Oh, no. The prompt that we're going to try later on is I think I mentioned human. Okay, so that set of prompts, I think, because it uses bioconductor only works. I think this prompt, this set of prompts, you can see, uses this R package. Okay, this R package is for human. You have gene ontology, have gene ID mappings and stuff. We only have about 20 species in bioconductor have genome annotation. It does not work for, so this is the set of prompts that I use. And this is the, I think this is the code. The code, I think, is here. This is the code generated using Chatlize, and using Chatlize and this set of prompts. Okay, this only works for the top 20 organisms. Yes, a good question. Other questions?
What about a not well-known data set?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Good question. So when I'm working on average data set, obviously ChatGPT knows a lot about average data set, right? It knows the first four columns are numbers and last column is species. So it does this kind of thing for you. So when you have less well-known data, that's why I keep mentioning that you need to describe your data to ChatGPT. For example, in this example here, I described that the first four are numeric, the last three are categorical. So you need to describe your data. Very good question. Yes.
Another question is, we have data in replications. Should we put the data in replication then?
For RNA sequencing?
It's about like data in replications.
Data in replications.
Yeah, so if like you have, data in replication, it's like, should we specify it in the prompt?
Yes. I mean, you should. Yeah. For example, our data that we're going to use, I think is this data. In this data, I think that in the prompt, I think, okay.
Okay, so field data
yes, you
in
can see
replication.
the first three columns are control samples, right? I mentioned that in my prompt. So that means that the first three are replications and the last three columns are knockdowns, right? All right, go ahead, Hadia.
Yeah, sorry. So she said, so Anil said that it's field data in replications. Okay, so another question, what would you recommend to analyze metagenomic data from Illumina? These tools are helpful in any way?
Okay, so the metagenomic data, there's two parts to it, right? The first part is sequence alignments. And second part is you have recons and then you do classification and things on. So I'm part of the group that we're working on prompts like this for this metagenomic data using ChatGPT. A lot of tasks actually could be achieved by just prompting. But if some of the alignment tools are a little bit more complicated, I think I have an example here. For example, this is the whole thing is one prompt, okay? The reason that it is so long is because I just keep getting errors. So I ended up has to paste a significant part of the manual, okay, to make it work. So that's why, so for the first part, you can, I don't know if Chatlize can do that, and because the mapping part, you need some tools, you need alignments, you know, but you could, using ChatGPT here, will tell you how to install this, how to install under Linux command, okay? The best thing to do is probably find some kind of snake make workflow. So, okay, metagenome. I think there's a lot of snake make workflows that is there that you can just use. Okay, some of them is just very very automated. Okay, and a lot of programs are installed inside the Docker, and you have to clone the snake make workflow and run. And after you get the read cons, you can use graphical tools like Chime or Chime2, which is very much similar to this. All right, other questions?
Yes. Are these tools helpful for timed course metabolomics data?
I would think so. I never tried though. Chatlize, whatever you can do in R, you can do it in Chatlize. You know, Chatlize is very flexible. You know, if you can do it in R for time course data, like, you know, you can do it in Chatlize. But, you know, it does. Okay, let me put it this way. If you are a biologist, have very little coding experience, and you want to do away with bioinformatics expert or data scientists, statisticians, you want 100% do your own analysis with these tools, I don't think that's possible, okay? You still need some ability to understand the code, to read the code, evaluate whether things are correct or not. So the ChatGPT, even with the tree of thoughts prompting, very complicated advanced prompting techniques, is limited. For example, in some of my steps, for example, in this step 10, I have 10% success rate because I want to perform pathway analysis using cake pathways, right? So is 10% is fine. Sometimes, you have to do something here correctly so that the next steps is correct. And then, so that will, if you don't have zero computing tool, computing experience, you can do very simple things. You can realize the data, you can do preliminary analysis. If you want to use this to replace bioinformatics people, I think we are still far away from that. Okay. All right. Other questions?
Is a Chatlize tool helpful for protein structure modelization?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know to answer that. Chatlize, I just finished writing it 10 days ago. I don't know. Other questions?
All. Okay. What are the performance limits of RTutor in comparison to Chatlize?
Oh, they're not directly comparable. Chatlize is just more flexible, more powerful, more flexible. That's it. The data is more flexible. Okay. Chatlize, you have upload a lot of more data. You can analyze different type of data, including sequencing data. RTutor can only analyze traditional statistics data. The performance, depends on. I would think Chatlize will be more powerful, have better performance. For RTutor, though, because I know people are trying 60% of times, the code ran without error in RTutor. So 40% of time they get error. All of the 60% time that the code run, I think maybe 50% is correct. There's 10% of the time is run, but doesn't give you error, but the code give you the incorrect result. So that's something I hope you guys realize. Okay, so this code that we get from ChatGPT, the most dangerous is that this code runs without error, but the result is incorrect. Okay, that's, I think, the challenging part. If it's graphical interface, you can look at the graph. Sometimes if it's many steps, it's very hard to tell. So that's why in the very beginning of coding, you might be annoyed whenever you see a graph, error message. But after a while, you should be happy whenever you see an error message, because this is a system telling you that there's error. The worst is that there's no error, things run, but the result is incorrect. Other questions?
That's all.
All right. So there's a lot more I wanted to do, but I don't have time in here. So obviously you could try Bing or Bard on this. Okay. And I tried yesterday, Bard just give me code that's not as good. Okay, just not as good. So the I want to go over some things very quickly. So a typical prompt, a proper prompt, needs to at least have 3 parts to it. Okay. So the first part is a general instruction. Follow the instructions below, write correct, efficient R code. Okay, so this is a instruction. And the second part is the question, very specific question. Okay, and the third part is the context, meaning that this is the data, the data frame contains these numerical variables and contains. Okay, so this is, I know most people just write as minimal as you want, but if this is something important, a proper prompt should look like this, should at least have 3 parts to it: an instruction, a question, a context, additional information. So in writing code, it looks like this. Okay, Obviously, you can do things like this with very general things. Okay, be aware of wrong things that is wrong. Okay, be aware of code that is just incorrect. You can see here, I have different versions. Sometimes the version is just incorrect. So really, writing code with ChatGPT is a iterative method, meaning that you craft your prompt, you ask your question, you try your code, you have error message, you send the error message back, right? You assess the result. If the result is good, you might be happy and go back. If the result is not good or not expected, you go back and revise your prompt. Okay, so this is a process very similar to the human problem solving, I think. Okay, human problem solving, obviously. And again, another strategy you could use is that you could ask very simple things, and then keep asking. I think we did this a few minutes ago with the heat map. Okay, with the heat map. So this is a famous story. If you give a mouse a cookie, it will ask for a glass of milk to go with it. If you give a milk, it will ask for a straw, and then ultimately want to take a shower. So we want to be the mouse there. We ask a cookie first, and then we ask a little bit more. So with this strategy, you can do very complex things with ChatGPT. You can start a new Shiny app. For example, a lot of the part of the Chatlize was the code for Chatlize was developed this way. So step by step, and you have very complex Shiny app. The code could be very long. And this is just prompting after prompting. I get, these hundreds of lines of code, and does, a lot of things. Okay, and sometimes you can do data wrangling and this is a very long paragraph. You deal with data. You try this because this code is very long. Sometimes ChatGPT couldn't give you a entire code, chunks and pieces. So you ask ChatGPT to stop, to continue from here, I think. Okay. Yes, this is Shiny app. I think we're going to skip this. And yes, the last one, I think I will have you guys try is this. So you should have is this. If you download this, download the workshop, download the GitHub. So this is prompt. Okay. So the first prompt is kind of special. It said act as an experienced bioinformatician. Write our code without explanation. I don't want the explanation, to analyze RNA sequencing recons data following instructions. Okay. So this is called systems prompt. So we come back to ChatGPT. Obviously, we want to start a new chat because we are doing something new. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and use ChatGPT 3.5. This is, we are not expecting code in here. So I think some people sometimes do this. So respond, yes, I understand. Okay, some people do this. All right, so now we are going to ask ChatGPT to write a very complex set of analysis for bioinformatics. So this includes read data, annotate these genes, and then create a heat map, okay, and create a PCA, and identify differentially expressed genes, okay, using DSIC2 package, and convert the genes, and do a volcano plot, and also do gene ontology enrichment analysis. I don't think we have time to finish all of them, but you could definitely try to do it on your own. So because this is, so this is the first prompt we are going to do in here. So this is the one last tip that I will give you in very complex bioinformatics tools is that at every step, for example, read the raw data from this file, right? And treat the first column as row ID. Each row represents a gene. So that should be sufficient. But I want to add one thing: print the number of genes and the first 10 rows. So that I can take a quick look at the data. Okay. So this is the code. Obviously, this is not that complicated. I mean, you could copy this and bring here and run this. Okay. You can bring here and run this. Okay. And run this. Obviously, I think you have to upload the file first if you want to. If you have to upload the file first. Okay, you upload the file first. I uploaded, so I need to run this. You can see, this is printed out. I have the files here. So if you're working on RStudio Cloud, you upload file here. If you're working locally, you do it from there. Okay. Now, the second step, obviously, we're going to have gene annotation. So this is a little bit of, so what I want to do is that these genes are in ensemble gene ID. We're going to retrieve information from bioconductor to annotate so that we have gene ensemble. Okay, so in this prompt, we are going to keep prompting from here. For example, we are going to use the role name. We're going to use this package. So we're going to use this package. And, so rereading it again. And I'm going to add the gene information from here. Okay, gene information from here. I don't think this code is correct. Okay, but but if you go step by step, I tried these prompts hundreds of times already. So this should work, right? So I will wrap up in here and maybe take a few quick questions. I mean, you're more than welcome to follow through on this and let me know if you have any questions. All right. Hidea, any questions? Any questions? And then any questions, guys? Yes, I will upload the presentation. I'm on mute. Do you guys have any questions?
Sorry, I was on mute. So yeah, there is no more questions. So we will, so if you go to the GitHub of this workshop, you will find, yeah, it's like this document, Word document, where you will find all the prompts. And then, as we said, we will be sending you like the link to our YouTube channel where you will find the recording. And thank you very much. If there are no more questions, so thank you very much and bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
Guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hidea.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be here for a few seconds if anybody have any questions.
If you have any question, we will stay like for maybe like 5 minutes.
Yep.
Thank you. And please, yeah, don't hesitate to try ChatGPT.
Thank you. certificate of
we don't provide, sorry, we don't provide the certificate of attendance. Thank you everyone. Thank you. If you have more questions, please don't hesitate to stay. Like,
how to access CSV files with ChatGPT. Well, with ChatGPT, I think you have to use ChatGPT doesn't accept files, but you could in the future you could upload. There is probably a plugin, ChatGPT plugin. I mean, also if your CSV file is not big, you can copy and paste the content and paste in there. Okay. Chatlize, yeah.
Actually, yeah. How can I access more than one data?
Yes, you can still see my screen, right, Cyrus? If you go to Chatlize, so I'm gonna restart. Okay, very good question. What you want to do is that you browse, you upload your first data set, okay, and you can see your data set is uploaded. You can come here again, upload your second data set. Oh, you have to select them both. So you select this, you upload them both. You can see both data sets is here in here, right? Now, since you have the data set, you can now see read the hard for hard ATK for r.csv file, as df1, read the CSE 37704 CSV as df2. That's how you do it. Okay, that's how you do it. So you just, yeah. Okay, show the first 10 rows for both. Yeah. So that's how you handle it. So you handle everything by yourself. RTutor, this is handled for you. Okay. For example, this is read in. Okay. I probably have I have a typo in here. I think. Okay. I'm missing an A here. I think, yes. Yeah. So that's how you do it. Okay. How to make Heatmap? What? Oh, so many questions here. Okay, so all right. What does EDA errors mean? Well, this Cyrus, I hope I answered your question, right? So you upload both files and you just read them in by name. That's how you do it. Okay. RTutor handles that for you. I'm going to go to the next question. What does errors EDA mean? Well, doesn't really mean anything. This is just just a name for this prompt. Okay. Let's see if you change this into a different example prompt. You don't have to, for example, this is a heat map. Okay. So that doesn't mean much. This is just name of my example prompt. Can you show how to make heat map with k-means clustering using any random dataset in Chatlize? Well, this is not complicated. I think you should be able to do that. So I'm gonna can I also generate pipeline for variant call in Chatlize? You should, but it's not straightforward. Okay, it's not straightforward. So you're talking about step by step like this. Okay, you can try. I think I would encourage you to try and let me know, what the results looks like. Okay, what's the results look like? When will Chatlize be available? It is available now. It's still not 100% finished, but for the most part, it's finished. Okay, I have some other things I wanted to do to it, enhancement. I will welcome any feedbacks. Action, I think. Oh, sorry. Then thank you. Can I also make Heatmap? Okay. All right. Let's make Heatmap with hierarchical clustering with oh, you mean something like this? For example, I have a heat map here. I want to, for example, I have a heat map, but this is k-means clustering into 6 clusters. This is adapt, by the way. This is a new version. I will encourage you guys to use it. I think you could use zoom in and to enrichment analysis on this set of genes right away. This is not there. To do something like this, you can see cluster 1 is enriched with cell cycle genes. This is cluster 1. Cluster 2 enriched, cluster 6 enriched with cytokine interaction. This is cytokine interaction. Okay, I don't know how to do this this is to do this in Chatlize. I can give it a try. We'll take a few rounds of trying, Okay, so all right. Chatlize, I have to try, and you have to prompt and find code. Okay, so can you hold on? Okay. Any other questions, guys? I will upload this on GitHub too. There's a lot of things I haven't covered, including, how ChatGPT works and such. I was so impressed. There's so many people come to this talk, and I was surprised, Hidia. You told me there was 50 or something, and then we have 600.
Yeah, actually, we are happy. We have a great community. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks to this amazing community.
Then you guys are asking very good questions too.
And, yeah. I really like. Thank you. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stephen. We will be sharing all the materials. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, maybe presenting. Yeah. The finalized version of Chatlize. For sure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye. Thanks, Hidia. Thanks, Amal. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.